Thanks for stopping by, guys, and welcome back to GearBlocks for yet another car creation. This time around, we're going to be looking at the supercar that I've been building and just recently finished. Now, I am really happy with this build, like extremely so. This one I've been tinkering on, just doing detail work for the last couple of hours, trying to make it the best as possible. However, like I said with the last build, eventually I have to put them down and let them be, and that is the point where this is at. This vehicle is a lot of fun to drive, and what is, I hope to be, the pinnacle of my fast cars. I'm just really happy with how this has turned out. So, real quick, let's look a little bit at specs. This is using a V6 big block going into a 4-speed transmission, 4-speed plus reverse. That power is all being put into a solid rear axle. Now, the top speed of this car is 204 miles per hour. However, it is hard to hit whilst doing the track around here. There's an oval track out there you can get to it, and on a straightaway you can get to it. However, that fourth gear in this vehicle is a little hard to get to sometimes. However, it just makes up with it with sheer power that it puts out. And that's part of the reason I had to go with a solid rear axle in this design. Originally, I had an independent suspension like I do on the front end, and it kept trying to tear itself apart. I messed with the game physics to increase accuracy, and that helped, but eventually I had to completely rip it out, build in something better, and what resulted in it is a honestly close to race car. I'm still going with the, oh, it's a sports car, it's a supercar, but it actually races, and it races really well. So, I'm going to do one quick walk around so you get to look at all the angles. And then we'll hop in looking at the controls and the interfaces and all of the fun stuff that this car has to offer. There we go. And I'm just going to point this out. How many of you noticed that none of my cars had mirrors until now? I thought about it and I was like, I really want to put a mirror, and I'm happy with this. This is actually a headlight piece that I painted black so that the little shimmer of glass gives an almost reflective look to it, which I think is really nice. Hopping into the seat, you'll see some common little dials and switches and lights that I like to put on all my vehicles. This uses the exact same control scheme, so if you're familiar with my last build, holding 3, we'll start the engine. On a toggle 3, we'll lock the engine, so you can use that to start and stop the vehicle. On 1, we have a parking brake, which will light up the drive light. On R and F, we have the shifter, which is shown with this little notch covering and coloring whichever gear we're in. W is accelerate, S is brake, A and D steering, and just like the last build, whenever I hit steering, the little indicator lights will pop up. Whenever I hit brake, little brake lights will pop up, and if I hit 4, it'll just turn on all the little lights around the car. And from there, that's the controls dealt with. So let's press 1 to get it into gear, and let's shift down to first. One extra note, I did eventually find out how to find the RPM of the engine. With this car, you should be shifting around 2,700 RPM. However, underneath the gears, it also shows what mile per hour the gears are set for. So as we accelerate, as soon as I hit 55, I want to shift into second. As soon as I hit 95, I want to shift into third. There we go, into third. Fourth is a little hard to get to, unfortunately. Not impossible, because we could shift into it here, but I have to slow down for this turn. Oh. This car is a lot of fun to drive, but it is work. Just trying to keep the car into the right gear, trying to slow down when necessary. It's all a lot of effort, but it also makes it a lot of fun to drive because you are controlling it. You have to pay attention. You have to know what speed you're going and all sorts of other little details, which means essentially this car can do a lot, and it's very much on the skill of the driver to utilize all this car has. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it is so much better than the last vehicle that I made that it's kind of terrifying. Like, I went back to driving the orange one, the sports car that I built, and it's like night and day difference. Especially getting into this one, it feels like you're going really slow around the corners, and the only reason it feels like you're going slow around the corners is because you have to slow down so much for the corners. Because you can go so fast in this, you really have to cram on the brakes to take a turn. This one particularly I've been having issues with lately. While I was testing, this was not a hard turn to take, but since I added the fuel tanks and stuff, it shifted the weight slightly and makes it a little bit rougher on that corner. Here in a second, we should be able to get into fourth gear on this straightaway. There we go. There's fourth gear. We're not going to be in it long because we have a turn coming up. We got to slow way down for it too. And we'll be able to hit fourth gear going down this hill as well. This one's a scary hill because either it's really good or the rear end wants to explode. There's fourth gear. There's the rear end wanting to rip itself apart. Nope. It's going so good too. Alright, let's pop this into reverse. So weird just going from going really fast to slowing down, and there's another version of the car while I was working on it just hovering there. Don't mind that. I'm going to leave it be. Alright, let's see if we can get back up to speed. And hopefully complete a full lap of this. This one's another one you have to be really careful with, because if you miss this one, you just go off into that abyss. Making so many mistakes. Trying to talk and drive with this is just honestly difficult. There's so many things I'm trying to pay attention to while also keeping up like the conversation, and it is very difficult. Also, this section is really fun. Oh, so smooth. Alright. Let's go again. Gotta slow down for this corner. Trying to hit 110 before we let off. There we go. Oh, smooth. When you get this thing going, it just goes. It's the corners that you really have to be careful with. Come on. This one up here is tricky as well. There we go. When you have to slow down, it feels like you're going slow, even though I took that at like 60 miles an hour. Oh, making mistakes. This one's always tight. Shift down so we can take corner. There we go. That was smooth. Once again, this one can be surprisingly difficult. Slow down a little bit early. Ooh, getting into the dirt there. Oh. See if we can get into fourth gear again through here. Come on. Let's try not to mess this one up this time. Oh, the rear end does not like me. Oh. Oh, smooth. Smooth as butter. That is honestly terrifying. Oh, but I'm gonna mess it up here. Nope. Okay. We don't need to be in fourth gear anymore. Yes, I know. You don't like that I downshifted. Come on. Fourth gear. And a good loop. Clean loop. Oh. Okay. Let's see if we can get this back into the little parking area. There we go. And find my little wheel stop. So the reason I have to use a wheel stop is, if you haven't noticed, while I was looking at the car earlier, there's a glitch going on where I think it's because the front suspension is at an angle, and there's a reason for that. But it's causing a force to be pushed into the axle, into the wheel. So the car slowly rolls back, and it's stronger than my parking brake. Ooh. So I have to, I literally have to use a little parking bar to keep this car from rolling away on me. There we go. Go ahead and put on the parking brake, turn off the engine, turn off the lights. Hop outside and you can see the wheel slowly rotating. I don't know what's causing that. And yes, that was a lot of fun. The first lap had some issues, but with some actual concentration, you can do so much with this thing. It is so fun to just bomb around these corners 100 miles an hour, creeping on 200 in some areas. I think if you had enough time and practice, you could probably get a perfect loop and hit the top speed, but it would be very difficult, I do believe. Unfortunately, I don't have a version of this car that's torn apart for us to look at. It is dead simple though. V6 going into a 4-speed. If you've seen the last video, it's the same transmission. I've just managed to compact it down by removing a bunch of fluff from it, essentially. Trying to get into the smallest space so that despite how wide it looks, this is the same width as the previous car and almost identical length too. If I spawn in the last car that I built, let's just rotate this. It is almost identical in length. Like this one's a little far forward, so let's pull it back just a bit. I think this one's a little bit longer. But if we come to the side and I rotate this, come on, grab, rotate, because the red car is slowly spinning because of that glitch. We're a little bit bigger. I think like 1 or 2 blocks bigger. Come on, move. There we go. So in a very similar footprint, to have that much more like power and speed surprises even me. And that is part of the reason I am so happy with how this new version has turned out. So this will be up on the workshop as well. I want to give a little bit more care to this one because I think this is going to be the last fast vehicle that I build for a bit. I do want to take a break and build some other things like some monster trucks, some rock crawlers, things of that sort. And maybe a couple of replicas. I have had a few comments asking me to build real life vehicles, replicate them in this game. I might try and do that. But for the time being, I think this is going to be the last sort of race car, sports car style build. And I'm going to have a little bit of fun with some other things as well in this game. So, with all of that being said, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. And until next time, peace.